Hey everybody, what is going on? HexLex here, got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which means it's once again time for another one of our weekly viewer specials. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, for one, welcome, glad to have you on board. And two, I'll break down how this works for you. So every single Monday, we take a look at games from you all, the viewers. No special criteria to meet as far as what you have to submit. If you have a cool game or you want to show off like a cool deck or something, that is all you gotta do. If you are interested in submitting for the viewer special, you're gonna want to go down to the description below. One of those links there is going to be an invite link to our Discord server, the HexLexPlex. Under the Master Duel section, there is going to be a channel called Viewer Special Submissions, and once you are in there, you can go ahead and drop your 9-digit player ID as featured on your profile here. That way I can view your publicly saved replays. As always, please make sure that this number is entered correctly. Don't enter mine, of course, enter your own. And also that your replays are set to public. That way you are able to, or I rather am able to view them. But yeah, if you've got like 15 different replays and you got a bunch of stuff you want to show off, you can submit as many different games as you'd like. The only thing I ask is that you don't submit the same game multiple weeks in a row. We do this every single week, so there's always plenty of chances to get in, even if you're not featured. There is always the next week and the week after that and the one after that and so on and so forth, because this has been our longest ongoing series on the channel and I have no plans to stop anytime soon. But now that I've explained how it all works, why don't we start watching some of your games? Okay, for our first game comes to us from Frantic21. Frantic21 has a game where they are playing, they described it as Yu-Gi-Oh! Turbo, I think, and I was a little confused when I read that. I was like, okay, so what's going on here? And it's a bit of a 60-card pile deck. It's we got Punk as the main engine, which I always appreciate. Looks like we're also rocking with Millennium, Kashtira, Fiendsmith, and then Bestials as well. So playing pretty much every engine that's good with Punk all in a 60-card deck. I love it. You gotta respect the grind. And our opponent is going to be on Primite Blue Eyes. This is an extremely standard looking list. Very by the books meta deck. Nothing too out of the ordinary there. So we got a going second game here. 5-turn duel. Interested to see how this one's going to play out. Alright, what's in our opening hand? Did we get some hand traps? Or I saw we played some board breakers as well. We got neither. We got a bunch of Punk cards, E-Tally, and Call By. Oh, if only we could have gone first. But looks like our opponent's going to lead with the Primite engine. Normal summoning Ether Barrel, going for the Lordly Load. Going to set that and then flip it up and add the Drill Beam. The Ether Barrel is going to now get linked off to summon out the Spirit with Eyes of Blue, which can, of course, upon summon, add Mausoleum of White from deck to hand. Now here's the question, are they going to have the Sage? And it looks like they do have the Sage for the extra normal summon off of the Mausoleum of White. That's always the big question when the Blue Eyes opponent opens with the Primite engine. They either have the Sage or they don't. And if they do have it, then of course they get to go full combo. If they don't, they have to go into Sphere's Pass. Here's the Maiden True Light F activating, setting that Wishes for Eyes of Blue directly from the deck. Now Sage and Blue Eyes White Dragon are going to get synchro summoned into the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Let's go flip up their Feast Down Wishes, pitching an extra Sage in order to add Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons and the extra Effect Veiler from deck to hand. Roar is, of course, going to let our opponent summon another Blue Eyes directly from the deck, which is then going to get synchroed off with the Maiden to summon out the second Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Classic standard Blue Eyes end board here. Oh, they're going for the... Yeah. This is pretty standard, I think, too, actually, to go for Ultimate Spirit Dragon, and then Spirit Dragon into the Crimson Dragon, which will go for the Sephir. I mean, you could wait still. I think it's better generally to wait, unless you're going to go for the full combo, which is to then... Unless they have the what was the card called? Why am I blanking on its name? The one that Crimson Dragon searches. Synchro Rumble. Yeah, if you play Synchro Rumble, then from here you could summon out a Blue-Eye Spirit Dragon. That's kind of like the full end board, but I will say here, I think our opponent should have just kept both Spirit Dragons and then gone into this stuff on our turn, because the Spirit Dragons do have their own sort of disruption effects for effects that activate in the graveyard, which is potentially relevant against, I mean, not just our deck, but decks in general. But anyway. Alright, let's go into our turn here, see what we top deck. Fiendsmith Engraver is actually a very good top deck, all things considered. Like, yes, we would definitely have rather had the, hand trap in our opening hand, but now that we've committed, or not committed, but you know what I mean. Now that we know that we don't have just all engine and nothing else, it's definitely better to draw more engine instead of a useless hand trap here, for sure. I mean, that is always the solace that you can take, even if you don't open any hand traps, is that if you didn't open any hand traps, you probably opened a ton of engine, which can help you push through your opponent's stuff. So they have Ash Blossom on top of Dominus Purge here, stopping E-Tally with the Ash Blossom, and now Fiendsmith tracked with the Purge. Still, of course, going to get to use the Ogre Dance here for the Royal Xamine. Ooh, I kind of want to go out of my way for one of those now. Yeah, there's so many supers I'm tempted to grind out for the Royal version of. Actually, speaking of Fiendsmith, the Requiem is another one of those, Requiem in sequence. And then there's the Valor, so we knew they had that. Having the Ash Blossom and Dominus Purge on top of Valor is pretty brutal. But thankfully the last card in our hand is, you may have heard it's a pretty good one, the Rising Scale. And we get to Synchro Summon for a level 11 here, which is going to be the Psychic End Punisher. I was going to use the Primite Drill Beam, but that's not going to affect Psychic End Punisher, because as some of you may know, of course, Psychic End Punisher, while your life points are less than or equal to your opponent's, the Synchro Summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. So even as I try to negate the attack buff, that's not going to work either. Saphir does still get to protect the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, but now our opponent has a bit of a problem here, because although our board is not quite as extensive as theirs, they are still going to have to deal with this 4,700 attack Pep. Oh, whoa, hold the phone. Did we just see them overlay 2 level 12 monsters into Super Star Slayer Typhon? I have never seen that before. I think I've seen that with Zeus once, but I've never seen somebody go 2 level 12s into the Typhon Sky Crisis. This, however, is not going to help our opponent, because if we read the wording on Sky Crisis, it says, while this succeed summoned monster is on the field, neither player can activate the effects of monsters with 3,000 or more attack. And if we look at Psychic End Punisher, this first effect here is not an activated effect. So the Psychic End Punisher will not be negated. This first effect will not be negated by the Typhon. The Typhon can still, however, stop the other 2 effects, because this effect of Typhon does not activate either, and Psychic End Punisher can only stop activated effects as well. That's always something that's very important to watch out for in wording, is whether it's an activated effect or if it just negates effects in general. Yeah, here they're going to be forced to crash their Maiden in White into our Psychic End Punisher, taking 4,700 damage just to get their life points lower in order to be able to banish the Psychic End Punisher with the Primite Drill Beam. However, we did open top deck rather, a pretty good card here. Sengenjin that wakes from a Millennium. And now that Drill Beam is gone, I mean, just looking at our opponent's board here, they don't have a ton in the way of disruption anymore, right? It's going to come down to what the face down card and card in hand are. Actually, the card in hand we might know. I can't remember if they searched last turn. No, so the set card is Lordly Load. That we know. Okay, so we don't know what the card in hand is, I'm pretty sure. Setting Majesty off the True Light there. We're gonna go for the Requiem from the graveyard in order to summon out Necro Quip. Now we can go for Engraver, putting back Moon. And of course, from there we just summon out the Sequence. Alright, Sequence F. I'm gonna put back 2 for the Fiendsmith's Lacrima. And then Fiendsmith's Lacrima gets to summon back Requiem, or put back Requiem, looks like. Going back to the extra deck there. And now Ognum Day. Oh, okay, so we're gonna go Ognum Day yet, bring back Fiendsmith's Lacrima, equip with both. That'll boost us to 5,400. Which is barely enough to not finish them off here. Ugh, leaving them at 200 life points. Alright, Drill Beam gets to reset here, and then Majesty is going to activate, popping our board. But then the Lacrima burns for lethal. Yep, there it is. Oh, so good. Yeah, at that point, I guess there wasn't really any way around it, because they would have to remove our Fiendsmith's Lacrima to be able to, battle for defeat us. But by doing that, they secure their own. So by getting them down to 200, we're actually pretty much just dead at that point. All right, that is some pretty good stuff. Thank you for that first game there, Frantic 21 with the punk pile, so to speak. Love to see it. All right, let's see what else we got here for the next one. Alright, next game comes to us from Boya. Boya is going to be on, let's take a look here, Voiceless Voice. Wow, look at these royals. Got Lacrima, Bestial Monsters, dang. Good stuff, wow. So yeah, Voiceless, always a deck I like taking a look at, especially because it's a really good one. It's not a deck I own, so always like watching it for that reason. The selection pack is out, so there is the option to go into it, which I might take at some point, but have not committed to making that step just yet. So here we got Voiceless, and then our opponent looks like they're going to be on Tier Limit. Tier Limit with Fiendsmith stuff, and they're on the Pilgrim Reaper, which definitely makes sense. So let's see how this one ends up playing out. The description here I was a bit struck by. Maxed out Voiceless end board versus funny Fiendsmith misplay. Alright, let's see what we got here. We're taking the first turn. Okay, I could definitely see how a hand like this could get a maxed out Voiceless end board. I'm really interested to see what the max end board for this deck looks like, because of course I know about going into Skull Guardian, but aside from that, off the top of my head, not like super duper sure what it all ends up looking like, but we will find out momentarily. Alright, there's the Skull Guardian, gets to tribute the low from hand, which of course gets to activate, as well as the Skull Guardian to search. Skull Guardian gets to search. Oh yeah, Effect Monster Sorvis is part of the end board, that's right. Because that goes into Ritual Sorvis. Special Summon. Trias F gets to activate, tributing the Diviner in order to special summon itself. This will also activate the Diviner to summon another low. Leading off Trias and low. Let's us go into, oh, Moon of the Closed Heaven. This is what makes it a full power Voiceless board, as we get to go into a full Fiendsmith stuff as well. At the end of our Voiceless line, that's so good. Lacrima dump Engraver, Engraver F, puts back the Moon, Special Summon, link off into Sequence, and then I wonder if it's going to be Desiree or Fiendsmith's Lacrima into some link summoning. Let's see. Yeah, because here's the Sequence. Sequence F. Looks like it is in fact going to be the Desiree for the Omni Negates. Oh wait, is it more? Are we playing Ognum Day too? We are, look at that. Oh, if our opponent had a card to send, we could even do that on top of that as well. So we can negate up to 5 cards on top of having our monstrously huge Fiendsmith Desiree. Definitely what I would call a full Voiceless end board. I would not argue with you here, boy. So, monster effect, or other effect monster Sorvis is going to activate in response to Engraver, summoning Ritual Monster Sorvis. So now we have auto negate up to 5 cards that are on the field at once. We have the Skull Guardian negate, We got the Radiance Pop, we got the Sorvis Summon Negate as well, and then of course, where is it? The Barrier has the protection too. That's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely insane. Literally all of our zones except the EMZ are occupied right now. That is wild. Alright, so here's Engraver. Is Sorvis, does it negate summons or an effect that summons? No, it's when an opponent would special summon a monster. And look at that! We didn't even actually have to activate any of the negates before our opponent just surrendered. It was sheer intimidation that caused them to back down. That's ridiculous. That's awesome. Oh wait, the Fiendsmith misplay. We forgot. What was it? What did they do? Okay, so special send, link summon Requiem, tribute, special engraver, activate, move, activate, send. Oh, oh no! They sent their own engraver with the engraver's effect. Oh, that's unfortunate. That is actually unfortunate for them. I think even without that misplay, they were just cooked, though. We didn't use a single disruption up until that misplay when they conceded. It was funny, though. Definitely game as advertised. Thank you very much, boy. Yeah, we do have time for one more. Let's finish off with that one. And for our final game from Lux here, it'll end up being... Let's see what we're on. So we're playing Fiendsmith Lightsworn, because Lightsworn Archfiend is in fact a light tuner, which you don't even necessarily have to be playing a light tuner to be playing Fiendsmith, but if you're already playing, or light tuner, light fiend, I mean, if you're already playing light fiends, it's like, you might as well, right? So definitely makes sense. And our opponent is on a pretty cool deck, one that I've been meaning to come back to at some point. Since the new support, but it's Skull Servant with Fiendsmith Engine as well as Horus cards here, so definitely eager to see how this one plays out. Now Lux says, cooked up this slop when I realized Weiss is a light fiend, which definitely, like I said before, makes sense. Sorry, I'm just reading this other part. I accidentally used Foolish Barrel in a state of psychosis that running out of time did not make SP. More than understandable. Yeah, that sounds definitely been there before. I imagine, obviously, that I don't know what it's like being in a state of psychosis, but I wouldn't be surprised if running out of time in a Master Duel clock elicited a somewhat similar feeling. Definitely can be very stressful. Alright, we're going into Synchro Minerva, getting to mill a couple of Lightsworn cards, including Felice and Weiss. Alright, Weiss F, getting to summon out Lightsworn Dragonling, and then Felice summons herself. Dragonling F gets to mill the Trap card, which bounces or destroys? I'm trying to remember what it does exactly. Oh, it negates cards. It doesn't do either. It negates. Up to the number of Lightsworn cards you control. Got a dedicated Bestial engine here as well, with the Bestial Lubellion. We also do banish with some of the Lightsworn stuff, like the, well, Punishment Dragon summons off of having banished Lightsworns, not banishing Lightsworns, but you know what I mean. Lightsworn banishes stuff. Ooh, got to mill a wolf, but we summon out their Lacrima, because we're going to get to summon the wolf anyway, and then now their Lacrima lets us go into our Fiendsmith stuff, which is really, really cool. We also did mill them a White Prince, which means they are on their way to building up Skull Servants in the graveyard. They've got 4 right now, including a king in there as well. Definitely worth noting. Gonna pivot to Moon of the Closed Heaven here. Now going into the Fiendsmith's Requiem. Alright, Requiem F, got a tribute in order to summon out the Engraver. And this will be Sequence, yep. Alright, Sequence F. And there's Desiree. We do have Charge here as well. Also going for Ognum Day. Wow, all 3 games have summoned to Fiendsmith's Ognum Day. Kind of wild. I mean, it's a good card. Alright, bringing back Engraver with its F. Now we get to sync with Felice for, I have to imagine this is Baron de Fleur. Yep. Sure enough is. Got that charge of the Light Brigade. I saw Tract and Engraver go to the graveyard there. Going for Raiden and then adding... Oh, is this what you meant by adding or running out of time and then not going into Little Knight? Like Raiden plus Zombie Vamp? I don't think it's that big of a deal here. Okay, so they're going to go to activate White Prince and we're negating with the Baron here. I think that's definitely fine. I really want to keep them, off of the King of the Skull Servants if possible. Fiendsmith's Sanct, huh? Is this just extra deck lock? Oh, is that attack declaration lock? Oh, that's interesting. Well, why would you do that in a Skull Servant deck? Your whole point is to battle with King. Now you're locked out of being able to do that. Yeah, I thought the lock for Fiendsmith's Sanct was, you were locked into Fiend summons, but it's Fiend attacks. That's really weird. Interesting. Okay, so we're using Lightsorn Aegis to negate the Lacrima of the Crimson Tears here. It's going to keep Engraver out of their graveyard, stopping them from getting a second body on the board. Unless they just want a normal summon Lady in White, which is what they do here to go into sequence. Sequence F activating. We've got the Veiler. Pretty sure we have not used our Desiree negate yet, so we still have an Omni negate, which is really nice. Yeah, no, yep, we still have that. Tract F getting to add Alluri here. I like that we did not use Desiree against the Tract. I think that's a very, very good call. Let them go into their engine and spin their wheels a bit, you know? Okay, now they're fusing Lurian sequence. Is going to be Desiree? No, it's Lacrima. Okay. This I might negate. If I was... Yeah, there we go. I thought you would. Negating Fiendsmith's Lacrima, leaving that as their last card. They only have 2 more in hand. And it's going to be set 1 pass. Beautiful. Love to see that. Alright, so... Yeah, we can Baron pop the face down. They're going to chain Fiendsmith's Sanct. We're negating with Desiree. They're going to chain Lacrima, the Crimson Tears. That's fine, whatever. We've already used our Omni negate on Baron anyway, so we couldn't have, like, stopped it, but... Yeah, we can just negate everything. We can even negate the Fiendsmith's Requiem before it, like, even has a chance to get to activate. It's really cool. Going for a 10, that's going to be Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel F, going to clean up the board state. And then now we can just swing in for game at this point. Yeah, there we go. And boom, there it goes. All right. Thank you very much, Lux, as well as everybody else who submitted for this week. Even if it didn't get featured, you know, just submitting is very important because without submissions, we could not do the viewer special. So, love this series, love to see what you're all up to. Really, really want to thank you all for keeping up the support. I very much appreciate your presence here. Not just watching the video, but just participating with all the viewer special on the channel and stuff in the Discord. It just really does mean a lot to me. Thank you all very, very much. But yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for now. So this is Hexlex. Oh, wait, nope, I'm not signing out here because we still have our outro. We need to thank our YouTube members and patrons. Let's go ahead and do that now. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.